that so many people.
How do I find a woke doctor?
And when they came back, went back up.
So one of my questions, and again, I want to get back to what's coming. That's most important. But I had a list of questions because I just wanted, for my own intelligence and answers, is like, for example, how do you choose a doctor that's woke? Are there questions where you can walk in and say, hey, doc, how you doing? Yeah, I'll let you be my doctor. But first, answer me these questions, because I want a woke doctor. Like, I'd let you do some shit, but I wouldn't let just any old doctor start tinkering. Now, how do you find a woke doctor?
Brad, you're the first person to ask me that question. Like I said, in the last 6 months, the question is a really good question, and I will answer it to the best of my ability. You actually already answered it. You answered it in the beginning when you said that when you're listening to somebody, or you're listening to information, truth has a way of resonating. And I believe that the reason that so many people are coming to our social media channels and so many people are reaching out to us, and the reason that YouTube and Facebook and mainstream media is censoring us is because they're afraid of the truth, and people want the truth. And that's why the people are coming to us in hordes. I mean, tens of thousands of people are coming. Now, the very, very simple fact is that if you recognize how the gut feeling is working, or your intuition is working, or that sixth sense is working, that is actually, to me, source energy communicating with us. That's God. That's the creator. Okay? That's the Jewish, Buddhist, Christian, Jew, Muslim, all the stuff that you said. That is the guide telling us, our own body telling us that we should be listening. So some people will say the creator doesn't talk to me. The creator talks to all of us. Most of us are too busy opening our mouths and running our mouths to listen. So that's one reason things like being in silence, being
the creator talks to all of us if we'll calm ourselves down and listen.
You know, in a natural setting, in a garden, taking a walk in the woods, meditating, whatever you want to call it. That's why it's so important. It allows us to become in tune with ourselves so we can hear those voices. That intuition will lead you. If you go to a doctor and you talk to a doctor and he doesn't even say anything, but you just feel good about him, you feel a good vibe from him, that's the doctor you should choose. If you have a doctor that doesn't give you a good vibe, then that's not a doctor you should be with. You know, I've gotten into shouting matches with a couple of my patients. I mean, like literally shouting matches. But those same patients will not go to any other doctor because they know that I will verbally slap somebody to wake them up. If they're my patient, my job isn't to be their friend. And I tell them all the time, my job isn't here to stroke your ego and make you feel good. My job is to get you better. And if you're not going to do what I'm asking you to do, and you think you're going to die on my watch, you're mistaken. I'm discharging you from my practice. You know that I've never, ever had a patient want to leave our clinic, ever. Even the ones that I've had a hard time with because they're not listening, they don't want to leave. Now, the reason is, I think, because we connect with people, okay? The doctors that are good, in my opinion, I'm not saying that I need people to come to me. That's not what I'm saying. I want people to feel right with whichever doctor. There'll be people that don't mix with my personality. So if you trust the feeling that you have, then trust that doctor. If you feel good about that person, then that's the person you want to go to. If a doctor takes your power away, if a doctor tries to minimize your understanding of something, because I'll tell people all the time, I'll say this all the time. I'll say, look, do you want to understand this, or do you want me to get you better? Because I'm not here to teach you all this stuff, how the physiology works. Being a physician means to teach, and I want to empower people and teach them the stuff like what we're doing right now. But to teach them why their other doctor was wrong when they come to me and they say, well, my other doctor said so, then go to your other doctor. Why are you coming here? So I don't have patients to explain the basic physiology to them. They can learn it. They can read about it. They can learn it. That's great. But I want people to come, like, in other words, what I'm saying is I'm not here to convince somebody. I am not going to ever convince somebody that they should go this route versus that route. I don't do that. Once they come to me, then there's a different story. Once they've come to me, then I'm going to tell them. But I don't want to be the car salesman trying to convince them to come to my type of treatment, because look, guess what? If that person decides to go and get the conventional treatment, they decide to have a bypass surgery instead of getting IV chelation therapy, for example, what do you think that person is going to have in their mind the last thing when the anesthesiologist tells them to count backwards as they get ready to be opened up for the bypass? The last thing they're going to think about is that doctor in North Carolina or in California or in Texas with that gray hair whose name was Butter or something like that said that I shouldn't have that surgery done because the statistics are that, 5% of people that are going to have the surgery are going to die or whatever. That's the last thing they're going to think about. So I don't want to put that in that person's mind. So I don't give them any opinion. I will listen to them. I will give them as much as I can, but my goal is not to convince them. The person that's the ideal person for me is a person that's already done their homework. They already know, like when the person walks in, they goes, I don't care what you do, Dr. Tar. If you don't treat me, I'm going to die. And I don't care. I'd rather die than to get that chemo and radiation. That's the person that I know that I don't need to explain anything. They've already told me that they would choose death over chemo and radiation. I don't need to convince them. They're the person for me. That's me. But every doctor is different. You need to find a doctor that resonates with you, that connects with you on an emotional, psychological, spiritual level. And if you feel that, that's the doctor for you. If a doctor takes your power away, walk away. Go away. If they try to make you think like you're stupid for asking a question, or they tell you that you're an idiot because you believe something else, or they denounce some other type of thought process, or they tell you that you're wrong, walk away. Find another doctor.
So, second question, how is Fauci not in jail?
How is Fauci not in jail?
That's it. I can't even answer. I have no idea. I mean, he's committed treason.
He's committed treason. He's done criminal things beyond imagination.
As far as I'm concerned, you know, he's gone against a U.S. governmental moratorium. He bypassed what a government regulation was to do exactly what the government didn't want to be done, and he went against that, put that money out there.
And that's
he's got a track record of this.
Yeah.
He's got a track record of this. I turn this back down. Sorry.
That's documented. Like, this isn't conspiracy shit. There's documented proof of this, correct?
That's exactly right. That's what President Trump, during one of the
President Trump documented
news briefs that he had, they asked him about it, and he said that, well, we've been looking into this, and we're going to find out how much money it was. I think there was a question whether it was 3.7 or 3.5 million. But yeah, they've been looking at it. And in fact, even today in the news, they said that President Trump is thinking about disbanding the coronavirus task force. And of course, mainstream media was bashing him. But that's exactly what he needs to do, because those bastards have an agenda. Their agenda is to misinform the public, keep everybody hidden so that they can roll out this next phase that's coming out. And, you know, I don't want to jump forward. I want to answer your questions, Brad. But one thing that comes to mind is that if you think about this action that's been taking place, what Fauci's been doing, it goes all the way back to 1981. And one of the doctors that I was on, that I did a roundtable with on our part 6, as well as the roundtable she and I did together, and then she was also on our TTAV bonus component that they did last Sunday. Her name is Dr. Judy Mikowitz, and she's
boom, there you are. Boom.
Become a good friend. She actually worked at the National Institute of Health for 22 years. She was doing the gain of function studies on Ebola. And when she realized what was happening with some of the research that she was involved with, and how those vaccines were directly causing autism and cancer, and came out to talk about it and became a whistleblower, Fauci threatened her career. And when that didn't work, he threatened her life. And to her credit, she still stood up and talked. And they framed her. They got her arrested. She went to jail. And then she had a gag order that she could not talk about this. They tried to have her recant her research. She refused to do that. They tried to get the research to destroy it. Luckily, she had copies of it, and she had that stashed away. She kept it safe. And now the gag order is lifted, and now she's speaking out. In fact, she just had a book that came out called Plague of Corruption, and details the entire component. Fauci has committed significant number of crimes, and it's not just this one. It goes back. And, you know, the thing that I don't understand, I don't understand, is that how could he sit there at George Washington University in 2017 and make the statement in front of other professionals that there will be a surprise pandemic during this presidency? Now, how do you know that there's going to be a surprise pandemic unless you're planning it? I mean, how does somebody know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, boom.
It's like those type of things are not really explainable, and that's the kind of common sense I'm talking about. Just like when Bill Gates said, if we do a really good job with Planned Parenthood and vaccines, we can reduce the population. Like, what the hell does that mean? If we do a really
exactly
good job with vaccines, we'll have less people in the world.
That's exactly what he was saying. And when you
This is insanity.
Come back to Fauci for a second. You know, the thing is that look at the media. This is the thing that really, really makes me mad. If the media was honest and fair, people like Fauci and Gates would have never gotten their agenda. This whole thing that's happened on the planet, this COVID-19 would have never gone anywhere because there's nowhere for them to get that word out there and create this misinformation. But it was the media that made it happen. Media made it happen. This goes back to your Project Mockingbird, right? The media was responsible for getting this information, this misinformation, and perpetrating it out to everybody. It was the media that then jumped on when Fauci said there's going to be a surprise pandemic. Notice what the media said. The president should have known about this. They knew about it in 2017 and they did nothing about it. Really? That's what you're going to say? You're not going to ask how did he know about it in 2017? Rather than ask that question, completely glaze over it and say that the president is responsible because he didn't do anything about it and he should have known about it from 2017 onwards when Dr. Fauci announced it. No, that's not the question. The question is, how did Fauci know about it? You know, this is like shooting the messenger, shooting the whistleblower. When Hillary Clinton's emails, I don't want to get political here, but Hillary Clinton's emails come out, they went after the people that hacked the emails. Never mind about the crimes that were committed on the emails. They just want to know who broke the law and hacked into her emails. That's where the agenda was. It's this diversion, right? Distraction. They like wave a flag here.
This information, purposely propaganda, purposely waving a red flag here when you're not watching what they're doing underneath the table or a sleight of hand. It's insanity.
To get your attention, said this is where you should be paying attention. Don't look at this. Don't look at the crime. Look at this. Who exposed the crime? That's the bad person. I mean, it's just.
It's insanity. We're going to end it here. I'm not going to do any more. This is not uplifting. I know enough. I've seen enough. This is going to be the last part of this. It's beyond belief. It's depressing. But I'm going to end this on a positive note. You've been warned. You've been forewarned by the Spirit, by your conscience, by promptings. If you're not listening to them, I can't wake you up. But if you're paying attention, you know that there's a serious medical war going on, and eugenics to destroy the population of the world, destroy the world's people, and let the elite control and run it. Think about what is going on. This is multi-leveled, and this is the greatest war and plague that we'll ever be in, regardless of whatever else happens. It's Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Good day.